Hello, thanks for coming to Politics and Life. I hope all of my freedom-loving patriots that are following me are having a fantastic day. If you wouldn't mind, please like, comment, and hit that subscribe button. As we know, there's been fireworks left and right in this new Trump administration, and I am here for it. Kash Patel has been talking about releasing the Epstein files day one. I believe that's a week from now, so it's about to get very exciting. And as we know, the deep state, they ain't happy, and they're doing anything they can to get in Trump's way, and the people support and have Trump's back. Anyways, Elon Musk and Trump just did a combined press conference and also Trump signed to get new executive orders. So we're going to react to it together. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let's get it started, y'all.
Provide things to its citizens and not simply be servicing vast amounts of debt.
And also, could you mention some of the things that your team has found, some of the crazy numbers, including the woman that walked away with about 30 million,
right,
et cetera?
Well, we do find it sort of rather odd that there are quite a few
Ren and Simpy, what's going on, man?
In the bureaucracy who have ostensibly a salary of a few $100,000, but somehow manage to accrue tens of millions of dollars in net worth.
Yeah, Elizabeth Warren was just confronted yesterday by Nick Sorter, and her security literally was pushing him out of the way, saying, how is it that you have a $180,000 salary once a year and you are worth millions? Please explain that. And none of these Democrats ever will explain, because we know it's just trading and corruption.
While they are in that position, which is, what happened to USAID. We're just curious as to where it came from. Maybe they're very good at investing, in which case we should take their investment advice, perhaps. But just there seems to be mysteriously they get wealthy. We don't know why. Where does it come from? And I think the reality is that they're getting wealthy at taxpayer expense. That's the honest truth of it.
Ding, ding, ding. That's the key.
We're looking at if you look at say Treasury, for example, basic controls that should be in place.
Pocahontas, the fake Indian. That's exactly who I was speaking about.
Place in any company, such as making sure that any given payment has a payment categorization code, that there is a comment field that describes the payment, and that if a payment is on the do not pay list, that you don't actually pay it. None of those things are true currently. So the reason that departments can't pass audits is because the payments don't have a categorization code. It's like just a massive number of blank checks just flying out the building. So you can't reconcile blank checks. You've got comment fields that are also blank, so you don't know why the payment was made. And then we've got this truly absurd, a do not pay list, which can take up to a year for an organization to get on a do not pay list.
It's ridiculous.
And this, we're talking about terrorist organizations, we're talking about known fraudsters,
I wasn't a fan of Elon at first, to be honest, but the more I hear him speak, the more I hear he does, especially when it comes to finding out this fraud, the more I'm a fan of him. I mean, he's not getting paid to do any of this.
It's a waste. Known things that do not match any congressional appropriation can take up to a year to get on the list, and even once on the list is not used. It's mind-blowing. So what we're talking about here, we're really just talking about adding common sense controls that should be present, that haven't been present. So you say, like, well, how could such a thing arise? That seems crazy. When you understand that really everything is geared towards complaint minimization, so then you understand the motivations. So if people receive money, they don't complain, obviously. But if people don't receive money, they do complain. And the fraudsters complain the loudest and the fastest.
The Democrat Party.
So, then when you understand that, then it makes sense. Oh, that's why everything they approve all the payments at Treasury. Because if you approve all the payments, you don't get complaints. But now we're saying that, no, actually, we are going to complain. If money is spent badly, if your taxpayer dollars are not spent in a sensible and frugal manner, then that's not okay.
It's amazing that it's been allowed to happen and go on this long. I mean, these people should be charged with treason for selling out their own country for political gain. Hopefully those charges will be coming soon.
Tax dollars need to be spent. Why is that? Like, it's just common sense. It's not draconian or radical, I think. It's really just saying, let's look at each of these expenditures and say, is this actually in the best interest of the people? And if it is, it's approved. If it's not, we should think about it. So, there's crazy things like just cursory examination of Social Security, and we've got people in there that are 150 years old. Now, do you know anyone who's 150? I don't. Okay.
Good point. Yes, the Democrats do not realize they are just revealing themselves in the scheme of their plans, exactly treason. And they think that screaming and protesting and like acting like little children outside these government buildings is going to make them look more innocent or like they're fighting against the system when they are indeed the system. They are just being exposed and the public is awakened. There is a very small minority of people still asleep, but through time they will come around. I truly believe that.
They should be on the Guinness Book of World Records. They're missing out. So, that's the case where, like, I think they're probably dead. It's my guess. Or they should be very famous, one of the two. And then there's a whole bunch of Social Security payments where there's no identifying information. Well, like, why is there no identifying information? Obviously, we want to make sure that people who deserve to receive Social Security do receive it. And that they receive it quickly and accurately. I'll tell you another crazy thing. So, one of the things is like we are trying to sort of right-size the federal bureaucracy, just make sure that this, obviously there needs to be a lot of people working for the federal government, but not as many as currently. So we're saying, well, okay, well, if
agree.
People can retire, with full benefits and everything, that would be good. They can retire, get their retirement payments, everything. And then we were told, this is actually, I think, a great anecdote, because we were told that the most number of people that could retire possibly in a month is 10,000. We're like, well, why is that? Well, because all the retirement paperwork is manual on paper. It's manually calculated, then written down on a piece of paper. Then it goes down a mine. And like, what do you mean a mine? Like, yeah, there's a limestone mine where we store all the retirement paperwork.
That's insane.
And you look at a picture of this mine. We'll post some pictures afterwards. And this mine looks like something out of the 50s because it was started in 1955. So it looks like it's like a time warp. And then the speed, then the limiting factor is the speed at which the mine shaft elevator can move determines how many people can retire from the federal government. And the elevator breaks down sometimes, and then nobody can retire.
That's crazy.
Doesn't that sound crazy?
That's insane.
There's like 1,000 people that work on this. So I think if we can take those people and say, like, you know what, instead of working in a mine shaft and carrying manila envelopes to, boxes in a mine shaft, you could do practically anything else. And you would add to the goods and services of the United States in a more useful way. So anyway, so I think, that's an example. Like at a high level, if you say, like, how do we increase prosperity? Is we get people to shift from roles that are low to negative productivity to high productivity roles. And so increase the total output of goods and services, which means that there's a higher standard of living available for everyone.
Can I just say one thing real quick? Aren't you guys so excited that the adults are back? I mean, come on, under these last 4 years under Biden and Kamala, we were the laughing stock around the world. It's amazing. It's a good feeling. I'm happy to be American. That's all.
That's the actual goal. Everyone's very quiet. So people normally this quiet?
Your detractors, Mr. Musk.
What?
Including a lot of Democrats.
I have detractors?
You do, sir.
I don't believe it.
Say that you're orchestrating a hostile takeover of government and doing it in a non-transparent way. What's your response to that criticism?
Well, first of all, you couldn't ask for a stronger mandate from the public. The public voted. We have a majority of the public voting for.
Yeah, exactly. That's the funniest part of this whole talk about the Democrats. It's not transparent, as he literally everything he is finding, he is posting online so the public can see it. How is it not transparent? It is the most transparent and most transparent administration so far that we've had in the past since I've been alive. I mean, it's crazy that the Democrats are crying over this nonsense. Hi, Ruth. Hope you're having a great day.
Won the House, won the Senate. The people voted for major government reform. There should be no doubt about that. That was on the campaign. The president spoke about that at every rally. The people voted for major government reform.
His son
is
picking his nose.
And that's what people are going to get. They're going to get what they voted for. And a lot of times, people that don't get what they voted for. But in this presidency, they are going to get what they voted for. And that's what democracy is all about.
and we're
Sorry,
sure
guys,
this
one
is
sec.
shocking
Ad.
for many of you that just hear the news.
Mr. Musk, the White House says that you will identify and excuse yourself from any conflicts of interest that you may have. Does that mean that you are in effect policing yourself? What are the checks and balances that are in place to ensure that there is accountability and transparency?
Well, we actually are trying to be as transparent as possible. In fact, we post our actions to
Exactly.
the Doge
That's
handle
what I was just saying.
on X and to the Doge website.
They are very transparent. They post all of their findings on the Doge site. I just actually followed them today. I didn't realize how much exposure is happening right now.
All of our actions are maximally transparent. In fact, I don't think there's been, I don't know of a case where an organization has been more transparent than the Doge organization. So
yes, Hope, I was actually concerned about that. Trump had a meeting with Bill Gates and dinner with him. And yes, we should know exactly what that's about. And hopefully we'll find out soon, because Bill Gates needs to be hung for treason. Why would you not want people to audit your government when they audit you? Exactly. And they're crying that Elon Musk has all of our personal information. The government has already had all of our personal information. So who gives a shit? We voted for this, and he is doing that. First president in history who's doing what the people want. Yes, 100% agree. Good point, Titan.
You know, and the kind of things we're doing are, I think, very, very simple and basic. They're not, you know, what I mentioned, for example, about Treasury, just making sure that payments that go out, taxpayer money that goes out, is categorized correctly, that the payment is explained, that organizations on the do not pay list, which takes a lot to get there, that actually are not paid, which currently they are paid. These are not individual judgment decisions. These are about simply having sensible checks and balances in the system itself to ensure that taxpayer money is spent well. So it's got nothing to do with, like, say, a contract with some company of mine at all.
But if there is a conflict of interest when it
Oh
comes
my
to
gosh.
yourself, for instance,
Fake
you've
news.
received billions of dollars in federal contracts. When it comes to the Pentagon, for instance, which the president I know has directed you to look
Yet
into.
they'll say nothing about George Soros or all these Democrat machines or Facebook who worked in the 2020 election. But the minute they turn against the machine, the Democrats, they always pull this crap.
Yeah.
Are you policing yourself in that? Is there any sort of accountability check and balance in place that would provide any transparency for the American people?
Well, all of our actions are fully public. So if you see anything, you say, like, wait a second, hey, Elon, that seems like maybe that's, you know, there's a conflict there. It's not like people are going to be shy about saying that. They'll say it immediately, you know?
Including you yourself.
Yes.
That's also a good point, Titan. Obama promised secure borders to deport illegals when he did the opposite of that. And he also was the deporter in chief, let's not forget. But the Democrats or big media who are owned by the Democrat machine will never bring that up because they know it's just hypocrisy. Anything the left complains about, they are literally doing.
But transparency is what builds trust, not simply somebody asserting trust. So not somebody saying they're trustworthy, but transparency. So
yes,
you can see
Democrats have let in record illegals while they're giving all of our taxpayer funds to them as well.
What's going on? And then you can see, am I doing something that benefits one of my companies or not? It's totally obvious.
And if we thought that, we would not let him do that.
Like if you think that Trump should abolish the IRS and the tax system altogether, I think we should not pay a dime of taxes anymore.
Segment or look in that area if we thought there was a lack of transparency or a conflict of interest. And we watched that also. He's a big businessman. He's a successful guy. That's why we want him doing this. We don't want an unsuccessful guy doing this. Now, one thing also that Elon hasn't really mentioned are the groups of people that are getting some of these payments. They're ridiculous. And we're talking about billions of dollars that we've already found. We found fraud and abuse. I would say those two words as opposed to the third word that I usually use, but in this case, fraud and abuse. It's abusive because most of these things are virtually made up, or certainly money shouldn't be sent to them. And you know what I'm talking about.
I think we shouldn't even be paying taxes in general. As Trump said previously before the tax system came, I believe we functioned like our government functioned off tariffs and we had no taxes. I think we should go back to that. I mean, our taxes go to BS that doesn't benefit the American people, it seems like, whatsoever. I mean, I would be down to pay taxes if it went to helping our military or helping our homeless vets and homeless Americans on the streets, or maybe the drug addiction crisis that's going on. It'd be nice for taxes to fund stuff that would help Americans.
But it's crazy. So, but we're talking about tens of billions of dollars that we've already found. And now a judge who's an activist judge wants to try and stop us from doing this. Why? Why would they want to do that? I campaigned on this. I campaigned on the fact that I said government is corrupt. And it is very corrupt. It's very, very, it's also foolish. As an example, a man has a contract for 3 months and the contract ends, but they keep paying him for the next 20 years, because nobody ends a contract. You got a lot of that. You have a contract that's a 3-month contract. Now, normally, if you're in a small, in all fairness, it's the size of this thing is so big.
Yeah.
But if you have a contract and you're in a regular business, you end the contract in 3 months. It's a consultant. Here's a contract for 3 months, but it goes on for 20 years. And the guy doesn't say that he got money for 20 years. They don't say it. They just keep getting checks month after month. And you have various things like that, and even much worse than that, actually, much worse. And I guess you call that incompetence, maybe.
Yeah.
It could be corruption. It could
Guarantee the person who is paying that judge is funded by George Soros through the ASAID, I believe it was, where they were funding these corrupt judges that weren't prosecuting criminals. It's crazy. It's so crazy.
Deals made on both sides, where the guy gets the money, he kicks. I think there's a lot of kickback here. I see a lot of kickback here.
There's a lot of kickbacks.
A tremendous kickback, because nobody could be so stupid to give out some of these contracts. So he has to get a kickback.
I have some doubts about Elon Musk, I won't lie, but I do think in regards to what he's doing with Doge, I do like that, though. I don't agree with the microchips or the AI. I've never agreed with that, which is a good thing, because I feel like we agree and disagree on, mostly agree on stuff, but in regards to the chips, I don't agree with that.
So that's what I got
I meant, I agree with your opinion on that. That's what I meant.
elected for, that and borders and military and a lot of things, but this is a big part of it. And I hope that the court system is going to allow us to do what we have to do. We got elected to among other things, find all of this fraud, abuse, all of this horrible stuff going on. And we've already found billions of dollars, not like a little bit, billions, many billions of dollars. And when you get down to it, it's going to be probably close to $1 trillion. It could be close to $1 trillion that we're going to find. That will have quite an impact on the budget. And you'll go to a judge where they handpick a judge, and he has certain leanings. I'm not knocking anybody for that, but he has certain leanings, and he wants us to stop looking. How do you stop looking? I mean, we've already found it. We have a case in New York where a hotel has paid $59 million, $59 million because it's housing.
Yep, that was a FEMA chief officer was fired today thanks to Trump and Elon discovering this, that they sent, I believe he said, what was it, $49 million or $1 billion to illegals in New York for luxury hotels plus more stuff for free off our taxes. Yeah, I'm a little skeptical about the AI, not going to lie. I hope that we are on top of it before it becomes an issue, but we never know these days.
Migrants, illegal migrants, all illegal, I believe.
And they were being paid twice the normal room rate at 100% occupancy.
Unbelievable.
So it's a racket.
Mr. Musk, can I ask a question?
Well, if I may sort of just going for the president's comments, at a high level, say, what are the two ingredients that are really necessary in order to
They should
cut the
close
budget
the
deficit in
hotel
half,
down.
2
You're
trillion to 1 trillion.
Find them or
And
close
it's
them
really
down.
two things: competence and caring. And if you add competence and caring, you'll cut the budget deficit in half. And I fully expect to be scrutinized and get a daily proctology exam, basically. Might as well just camp out there.
It's also funny the squad was calling Elon Musk and Trump, since the Dodge thing was put together, Nazis yesterday. They're back to calling Trump and Trump supporters Nazis.
So it's not like I think I can get away with something. I'll be scrutinized nonstop. But with the support of the president, we can cut the budget deficit in half from 2 trillion to 1. And then with deregulation, because there's a lot of sort of regulations that don't ultimately serve the public good. We need to free the builders of America to build. And if we do that, that means I think we can get the economic growth to be maybe 3-4%, maybe 5%. And that means if you can get $1 trillion of economic growth and you cut the budget deficit by $1 trillion, between now and next year, there is no inflation. There's no inflation in 26.
Plus with tariffs.
And if the government is not borrowing as much, it means that interest costs decline. So everyone's the mortgage, their car payment, their credit card bills, anything, their student debt, the monthly payments drop.
I love that. Wouldn't we all? Oh,
If you've
sorry,
been
one
injured
sec, guys.
in a car accident, don't call an attorney. Use this AI app instead.
That's a fantastic scenario for the average American.
It's true.
I mean, imagine they're going down the grocery aisle and the prices from one year to the next are the same, and their mortgage, all their debt payments dropped. How great is that for the average American?
Oh, he is picking his nose.
We had
That's
no
what we're
idea. We had no idea we were going to find.
You
this
guys saw
much.
it too.
And it's open. It's not like complicated. It's
It's not that
simple stuff.
complicated.
It's
It's
like
a lot of work.
we
Yeah.
can't believe it. A lot of work, a lot of smart people involved. Very, very smart people. But you're talking about anywhere maybe 500 billion. It's
insane.
crazy the kind of numbers
It
you're
is really
talking
crazy.
about. You know, normally when you're looking at something, you'll find you're looking for 1 out of 100. Here, you're almost reversing it. You look for one that's good.
Yeah.
And you can look at the title and you say, why are we doing this? Why are we doing that? And the public gets it. You know, the public gets it. You've seen the polls. The public is saying, why are we paying all this money? This for years, this has gone on.
Mr. Musk,
President
you
Trump,
said
the Senator,
Yeah, go ahead. Wait, go ahead.
Senator Rand Paul today said that Doge cuts will ultimately need a vote in Congress.
Elon sound better not his booger. I know that's what I was thinking. Because he keeps on doing it. Ruth, good eye catch right there. I wasn't even paying attention.
Agree with that? Is that the
I
plan?
really don't know. I know this. We're finding tremendous fraud and tremendous abuse. If I need a vote of Congress to find fraud and abuse, it's fine with me. I think we'll get the vote.
Better
Although
get
there'll
the
be some
vote.
people that wouldn't vote. And how could a judge want to hold us back from finding all of this fraud?
Because they're involved, and George Soros was funding this judge to make sure that this happened. They had all these backdoor deals. I'm telling you, it's so obvious. The Democrats are in bed with George Soros.
And finding all of this incompetence. Why would that happen? Why would even Congress want to do that? Now, Congress, if we do need a vote, I think we'd get a very easy vote because we have a track record now.
Yep.
We've already found
Show you who the
billions of
cronies are.
dollars of abuse, incompetence, and corruption. A lot of corruption.
If a judge does block one of your policies, part of your agenda, will you abide by that ruling? Will you
Well,
comply?
I
with
always
that?
abide by
Fire
the
them.
courts, and then I'll have to appeal it. But then what he's done is he slowed down the momentum. And it gives crooked people more time to cover up the books.
Exactly.
You know, if a person's crooked and they get caught,
There has to be something in place where he can overrule this, because we know they're just trying to shut down the corruption, which should be illegal because it is illegal what we're finding out. So please, someone tell me in the comments, isn't there a way, because Trump's the president, that he can override that or look into it? Because at this point, they're literally just slowing down the corruption findings.
other people see that, and all of a sudden it becomes
Yeah.
harder later on. So,
Yeah.
the answer is I always abide by the courts, always abide by them, and will appeal. But appeals take a long time, and I would hope that a judge, if you go into a judge and you show him, here's a corrupt situation, we have a check to be sent, but we found it to be corrupt. Do you want us to send this
Yeah.
corrupt check to a person, or do you want us not to give it and give it back to the taxpayer? I would hope a judge would say, don't send it, give it back to the taxpayer.
Yeah, if I can add to that, what we're finding is that a bunch of the fraud is not even going to Americans. So I think we can all
that's
agree
true.
that if there's going to be fraud, it should at least go to Americans.
I agree.
But a bunch of the fraud rings
fraud.
that are operating in the United States and taking advantage of the federal government, especially in the entitlements programs, are actually foreign fraud rings. They're operating in other countries and actually exporting money to other countries. We should stop that.
Mr. Musk, you
And
said,
this is big numbers. Talk about $100 to $200 billion a year. Serious money.
Mr. Musk, you said on X
Yeah.
that an example of the fraud that you have cited was $50 million of condoms was sent to Gaza. But after fact check this, apparently Gaza in Mozambique, and the program was to protect them against HIV. So can you correct the statements? It wasn't sent to Hamas, actually. It was sent to Mozambique, which makes sense why condoms was sent there.
Yeah.
And how can we make sure that all the statements that you said were correct, so we can trust what you say?
Judges, I feel like, are kind of the worst. I agree, judges are crooks too. I don't know he can do, but I know as an American, he can be calling into our representatives. Yeah, we need to call our representatives and senators. I agree with that. Why is Soros not in prison? Yes, Soros should have been in prison a long time ago. I feel like he should be locked up in every single country because he's caused chaos around the world.
First of all, some of the things that I say will be incorrect and should be corrected. So nobody's going to bat 1,000.
Yep, fake news journalists.
We will make mistakes, but we'll act quickly to correct any mistakes. I'm not sure we should be sending $50 million worth of condoms to anywhere, frankly. I'm not sure that's something Americans would be really excited about. And that is really an enormous number of condoms, if you think about it. If it went to Mozambique instead of Gaza, I'm like, okay, that's not as bad, but still, why are we doing that?
What does he have to say about
Can you
that?
talk a little bit about how closely you're working with agency heads as you're directing these cuts? Do they have
These news journalists are such clowns. I want to cuss, but I'm trying to be more professional. They are so dumb, and they're trying to get these gotcha moments. Ask real questions.
how much input do agency heads have when you're making these decisions?
Yeah, we work closely with the agency heads, yeah. So there are sort of checks in place. So it's not just us just going in and doing things willy nilly. It's in partnership with the agency heads, and I check frequently with the president to make sure that this is what the president wants to have happen. So we talk almost every day, and I double check things to make sure.
Barbara, we got Adam Shifty Shift pencil neck in my state of California. Oh, it sucks. I need to start doing that. Good idea.
Is this something, Mr. President, you want us to do this? We'll do it.
USAID has been one of your main targets. Are you concerned at all that some of the cuts or that shutting that agency altogether may lead to diseases or other bigger problems starting in other countries that then come to the United States?
Yeah, so that's an interesting example. So that's something where we work closely with the State Department and Secretary Rubio. And we have, for example, turned on funding for Ebola prevention and for HIV prevention.
Left that, you said?
Yes, correct. And we are moving fast, so we will make mistakes, but we'll also fix the mistakes very quickly. So
do you see it as a worthy cause, USAID?
I think that there's some worthy things, but overall, if you say what was the bang for the buck, I would say it was not very good. And there was far too much of what USAID was doing was influencing elections in ways that I think were dubious and do not stand the light of day.
Yeah, Ruth, you can't give that out.
To the Pentagon contracts, if you have received billions of dollars.
Oh, Hope, I'm glad you brought that up. Do you think the Epstein list is going to be out redacted in the Diddy list? What they're saying and what I've heard is as soon as Kash Patel gets confirmed, I believe in the next 7 days or 10 days, the first day he's going to declassify the Epstein and the Diddy list. So we know they're running scared. Kash is my favorite Trump cabinet pick. And I hope day one, as he promised, he's going to release those files because it's ridiculous that the public doesn't know about them already.
Contracts from the Pentagon, and the president's directing you to look into the Department of Defense. Is that a conflict of interest?
Are going to do at the president's request.
Does that present a conflict of interest for you?
No, because you'd have to look at the individual contract and say, first of all, I'm not the one, filing the contract. It's people at SpaceX or someone who will be putting for the contract. And I'd like to say, if you see any contract where where it was awarded to SpaceX and it wasn't by far the best value for money for the taxpayer, let me know, because every one of them was.
The president said the other day that you might look at treasuries. Could you explain that a little bit? What kind of fraud, and that question goes to both of you, what kind of fraud are you expecting to see or do you see right now in U.S. treasuries?
Yeah, I think you mean the Treasury Department as opposed to Treasury bills, or.
You also referenced treasuries on Air Force One the other night.
Go ahead.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, really the first order of business is to make sure we're actually collecting. Sorry for this. I thought my son might enjoy this, but he's sticking his fingers in my ears and stuff. So it's been hard to hear sometimes. Hey, stop that. No, the stuff we're doing with the Treasury Department is so basic that you can't believe it doesn't exist already. So for example, it's like, what type of payment is this? You can't just leave the field blank. Currently, many payments.
Yeah, Free Barbara's. This has been like the most exciting start to a presidential administration ever. I mean, he is getting shit done. He's getting done exactly what he said he would and more, I feel like. But one thing I do want to start seeing is Democrat politicians and corrupt bureaucrats getting locked up, because it's been long enough these cocksuckers have been getting away with all this corruption right in front of us with our freaking taxes.
It's left blank. And you have to describe what's the payment for, some basic rationalization. That also is left blank. So this is why the Pentagon.
President is Donald J. Trump. I'm sure you're a Trump hater.
When's the last time the Pentagon passed an audit? I mean, a decade ago, maybe? Ever? Really? And we want to just, in order to actually pass audits, you have to have financial information that allows you to trace the payments. And once in a while, the Treasury has to pause payments if it thinks the payment is going to a fraudulent organization. Like, if you get on that payment, the do not pay list, it means that this is someone that is just, it's like dead people, terrorists, known fraudsters, that kind of thing. We should not pay them.
Yeah,
but
great.
Currently we do, which is crazy.
And the Biden, it just came out, every few weeks was paying the Taliban millions upon millions of dollars every few weeks out of our taxpayer funds. That was Biden and Kamala, folks.
We should stop that.
Many transactions. And by the way, 100 team. And for the sake of the country, I hope that the person that's in charge and the other people that report to me that are in charge are allowed to do the right thing, namely make sure everything's honest, legitimate, and competent. But
damn right,
at just when you look at USAID, that's one. We're going to look at the military. We're going to look at education. They're much bigger areas.
I'm really excited to see the Department of Education and the military and see what fraud has gone, because I feel like maybe the military is the worst once you go through it. Oh, it's going to be crazy.
But the USAID is really corrupt. I'll tell you, it's corrupt. It's incompetent, and it's really corrupt. And I can't imagine a judge saying, well, it may be corrupt, but you don't have the right. You got elected to look over the country and to, as we say, make America great again, but you don't have the right to go and look and see whether or not things are right that they're paying or that things are honest that they're paying. And nobody can even believe this. Other people, law professors, right away. You're supposed to be running the country, but we're not allowed to look at who they're paying it to and what they're paying. We have massive amounts of fraud that we caught. I think we probably caught way over a lot of billions of dollars
and that's
already.
Just starting, guys.
2 weeks?
Yeah.
And it's going to go to numbers that you're not going to believe. And much, as I said, much is incompetence and much is dishonesty. We have to catch it. And the only way we're going to catch it is to look for it. And if a judge is going to say you're not allowed
Obviously, I know, Hope, that me and you are both wrong on that. All of them get locked up. But, I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, we need people to be charged with treason. I mean, the proof's in the pudding. I mean, Clinton emails, the fact that they wiped the emails, the stuff that's coming out about the Bidens. Like, come on. Something has to happen.
That's pretty sad for our country. I don't understand how it could even work.
The buyout program, can you personally guarantee that?
Which one?
The buyout program, the offer to federal workers. Can you personally guarantee that the workers who opt in to resign now will be paid through September?
They'll get their money, but they're getting a good deal. They're getting a big buyout. And what we're trying to do is reduce government. We have too many people. We have office space. It's occupied by 4%. Nobody's showing up to work because they were told
ridiculous off our taxes.
And then Biden gave them a 5-year pass, some of them, 48,000 of them, gave them a 5-year pass. That for 5 years, you don't have to show up to work. And let me tell you, this is largely, much of this stuff is because of Biden. It's his fault.
Yeah.
He allowed this country, what he did on our border. What he did on our border is almost not as bad as what he did with all of these contracts that have come out. It's a very sad day when we look at it. I can't even believe it. But many contracts just extend and they just keep extending, and there was nobody there to correct it. And that cannot be, I can't imagine that could be held up by the court. Any court that would say that the president or his representatives like Secretary of the Treasury, Secretary of State, whatever, doesn't have the right to go over their books and make sure everything's honest. I mean, how can you have a country? You can't have anything that way. You can't have a business that way. You can't have a country that way. Hey, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
All right, guys. If you're just tuning in for the first time, please like, comment, and subscribe, where I do daily videos of exposing the deep state swamp. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Please like, comment, subscribe. Love you guys. Have a great day. Peace.